Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Okay, new year, new patch, which is going to bring the Alice in Wonderland stuff, but also it's going to bring some champion buffs. So we've got 2 champions up for buffs this time round. There's also going to be some different events that are coming up. So I'm going to quickly go through some of the event stuff. Shard events, of course. It looks like from Friday the 3rd, which is tomorrow, there's going to be progressive chances on a bunch of champions. So included in the mix, I'll call out the best ones, I guess. We have got Harima, one of the most influential champions in the game. Apparently she's not a demon spawn. Oh no, here we go again. Why can I never remember where anyone is? Shadowkin, of course. Shadowkin. So why is she so influential? Mainly because of her passive skill here, where she's able to... enemy ignore defense effects are decreased, right? This is like her big thing. So in PvP, most of the hard hitters ignore defense, or most of the best sets for gear ignore defense. She's negating a bunch of that. You've also got bosses which can ignore defense. She's negating a bunch of that. And she hits crazy hard, and she's a cool champion anyway. So Harima is in the mix from tomorrow. We've also got this champion who I feel like is just on near enough every single event. This, yeah, Wallmaster Athorian. Just feel like Wallmaster is on tons, but enemy max HP, really good Hydra champ with block buffs and decreased attack as well. Plus a lot of self buffing, hard hitter, good champion. That's probably the best in the kind of like normal champion vibe. There is Mighty Uko, who's pretty good as well. Good for Amius and good for Arena. In Voids though, damn. I might be pulling a few shards. So, Taras, to go with my Marishka, is it possible? I don't really have many Void shards right now, but I might end up having a little look. Taras here, still really, really strong, both in PvE and PvP. So, very, very good. We've also got Riho, who is a really good champion as well. And then also, we've got Essensa here, who has got this kind of like whenever an enemy receives a buff, their turn meter is decreased. Pretty cool. AoE drop defense and weakened. Places poison cloud. AoE decrease attack. Like pretty decent champion. So some cool stuff going on. In epics, we've got Ealfried, Delaja, Endalia, Madame, and Ursala. So I think a couple of those might be Lady Mikage epics, but outside of that, nothing really too crazy to talk about. Okay, let's get on to the champion buffs. And 2 champions up for grabs this time. So the first one, I don't think, honestly, is in that bad a spot. So we've got Skull Lord Valgal. He came out as a fusion many years ago now, I guess. He was always kind of weak initially, right? Didn't hit that hard and didn't have that much purpose. They did buff him once already. And they gave him the ability to destroy... Which ability is it on? Is it in here? It's a passive, yeah. So he destroys enemy max HP. So against the Scarab boss, he's pretty good at just wiping away that enemy max HP. And he also has got the chance to repeat attack on this A1, which means that he does that more and more frequently if you get lucky. The heal reduction is not bad for Amius on the A1. And on Hydra currently, he's got a provoke and self buff, which means that he provokes, strengthens himself, which means he's also not just your provoker, but also your target for the Head of Mischief. So you can make him like your tank that deals with that. It brings decreased attack AoE, again, good for Hydra. And he's ended up being like a bit of a Hydra champ, right? He's not bad, he's not great. Before I've even read the buff, this is the weakest part of his kit. It's also kind of fun for some griefing, I guess. So every time Skull Sworn is on the same team, and he's dead, when Skull Lord has a turn, he'll revive him. So in stuff like Faction Wars, you can actually cheese Faction Wars, the final boss, using Skull Lord with Skull Sworn, which is quite cool. But I do love the idea of this. If there's Lizardman on his team, like it's massively impactful as the Skull Lord. So when he first came out, my suggestion was that there would be more champions in the mix that would benefit him. Because then the rest of his kit's kind of fun. But let's see what they're going to do anyway. So, saying here, we aim to ensure Skull Lord Valgal truly earns his title as a lord enhancing his kit to better reflect his lordship status in the Lizardman faction. Maybe they're going to do what I said. A1 change. So we've got here, still a double hit, still doing the turn meter field by 5%, still a 30% chance to repeat the skill, and they're saying here, the change, each hit is a double hitter, right? Each hit places 100% heal reduction for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted if there was one ally from the Lizardman on your team. So no accuracy required if you've got one other lizard around. That's the change. And it's each hit instead of one hit. So still 30% chance to land it, but now it's 30% chance twice. And if you get a repeat hit, twice again. Yeah, so... Oh, no, sorry. No, I've read that wrong. 30% chance to repeat, and if it is repeated, places heal reduction. So is that changing? So it's changing too. Each hit has a chance to place the heal reduction, and it's not based on whether you repeat the skill or not. Okay, that's interesting. Right. A2, Skull Claim. So still got the 75% chance to place a provoke. This debuff cannot be resisted if there's one ally lizardman on your team. Again, no accuracy required if you've got a lizard. And then it's changing. I don't know if this is a good change. Damn. So it's kind of a good change, but they're now giving strengthen to your whole team instead of just on him, which means that kind of like niche scenario that I spoke about, where he becomes the head of mischief target, goes away. One of his niches actually goes away as a result of the change, but the benefit is your whole team gains strengthen, which for most content is good, but for Hydra has actually made it worse. Interesting. Okay, I don't know if that's a good change, honestly, but the part of it where it cannot be resisted is a fantastic change. Okay, we've got the A3 then, Abyssal Clutch. No damage increase by the looks of this anywhere, by the way, which he kind of needs. His damage is not good. It's okay at best. So still got AoE, still got the decreased attack. Saying here, the debuff cannot be resisted if you've got a Lizardman. So across the board, no accuracy required if there's at least one other lizard, which is a massive change, honestly. That's a massive change. Okay, let's get into his passives. So first passive here, looks like everything is the same apart from at the end. So at the end, has a 50% chance of placing True Fear on targets whose max HP has been destroyed at all. So 50-50 True Fear if anybody's got destroyed max HP that he targets. So it doesn't need to be more than 20%. Okay? Still kind of niche, really, honestly, but because True Fear is not going to go on to any bosses and stuff like that, so it's very niche. Is that now relevant in Chimera, maybe? Can you destroy max HP on the Chimera? Not sure. If you can, then suddenly True Fear becomes a thing. Not sure if you can or not, actually. Okay, so the Skull Lord passive here, they've made a pretty massive change to this as well. So if you've got a Lizardman in your team, he will revive a random lizard ally with 50% HP and turn meter. Skull Sworn no longer required. It could be any of the lizards. And there are some freaking good lizards as well. Teox, Necmo, Krisk, Romantu, the new Fidey guy, Sulfurion. Like, lizards are stacked with great champs. Even in epics, honestly. There's some really, really useful epics in the mix. Venomage. Maybe there's not that many, actually. Aox, Venomage. Scathix. Maybe a bit of Broadmoor. Slixus. Like, they're not bad, but mainly the legendaries are top-notch here. And Laz actually does the same passive as this guy. At the end of this champion's turn, revive a random ally. It's not just lizards, but the two of them together, pretty mental, honestly. Pretty mental change. So a lizard will be revived. It does change instead of a 1-turn cooldown to 3, but still great. Like, really, really good change. Right then, the second champion is actually one that I don't own, but it is a Void legendary. Pretty sweet looking champ. Okay, Tramaria here. What's going on with this one? So they say, with the upcoming changes, our goal is to enhance Tramaria's supporting capabilities, granting her more protective effects for the team, as well as improving crowd control. So she's a support. She's got some good stuff going on. AoE drop speed with a chance to fear. AoE stun and a chance to drop turn meter. A full cleanse and turn meter buff. Immune to sleep. and gets turn meter fill if there's any nasties put on her. Speed in all battles. Gotta say, I've not used this champion before. Maybe I did on the test server a while back, but ultimately the kit already sounds kind of good. The kit to me sounds kind of good. So interesting to see what they're going to do here. So AoE decreased speed, already good for places like Hydra and anywhere we got like a big wave of enemies, and then a chance to fear. It's more like a PvP type of thing. We'll just see that is all battles, yeah. So they're saying here, currently it's a 30% books up to 50, whereas they're changing it to a 50% books up to 70% chance to land. On an A1, it's kind of big. Kind of big. On the A2, currently you've got books up to 100% chance to stun and 100% chance to drop that turn meter. Just trying to see here. So it's all the changes in the second line. After attacking, has an 80% chance of decreasing each enemy's turn meter by 30%. Not irrelevant of whether you landed the stun. You're definitely going to get a 30% turn meter drop. Pretty big as well. Pretty big. Okay. A3. So we've got the full cleanse. That stays. Also places block debuffs on all allies for 2 turns. The rest stays the same. On a 3-turn cooldown, we got full cleanse, turn meter fill, and block debuffs. Pretty much a Sifi move, right? It's like a Sifi move. Fills turn meter of each ally by another 10% if they had any nasty debuffs to remove. That's a great change. Block debuffs for 2 turns on that skill. Great change. Okay, then the passive here. She's immune to sleep right now. She's going to also be immune to stun, freeze, fear, and true fear. So if she's fastest in your team, if you get any of these things happen to your team, she's immune to it, and she gets a turn meter fill. She then does a full cleanse of the rest of your team. They all get additional turn meter for you doing that. And then all of your team is still in the fight. And you're getting block debuffs after it. Massive change, honestly. Both massive buffs, in my opinion. Both very, very good buffs. So if you've got these champions in the vault, I think they're coming out. I think they were kind of not really vault champions anyway, honestly. I think they were already pretty good. So buffing these guys is great. But I do think we got some way trashier champions that needed a look, honestly. Anyway, there you go, guys. 2 new buffs. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.